Welcome to this episode. We will be looking at the development of an individual. We will be trying to see how a person can move from one level to another. A good starting point would be to use the 5 proverbial W's and the H. And I would begin by asking who needs to be developed. It's the whole person. And then maybe when does the development start? I believe it must begin now. And then what must be developed? Or what do we need to do? It's change. And as Obama was saying, change we believe in. This time round I can say change we can be living in. Again, you may ask where? It must begin right here. And why? Because it is necessary. And how are we going to go about it? Let's find out. For any change to happen, the person must have some knowledge. And that knowledge must be put into practice. But it can't just be put in practice without changing certain attitudes. These attitudes will help in the development, and the cycle continues, such as it is knowledge, attitude development, and action. It's a continuous cycle. We can't say one begins here and ends there. But as we keep on changing, then other things also change. Inasmuch as change is a cycle, we have to know what we are doing, and that's why it is important to set goals, because we want to experience the change. Sometimes we may begin by having an aim. For example, the aim is to change. But then, without having some general objectives, we may not be able to move from the aim. Neither are we able to move to the specific objectives. So it is important to have general objectives, such as to use my skills and abilities to enable change. General objectives may not give us exactly what we need to do. Neither will they mention what our abilities and skills could be. So it is important to be specific. An example of a specific objective would be, by the end of 2 weeks, I will be able to use my skills, that is my teaching skills, to educate at least 2 people on food handling hygiene. By following this set of steps, we can be able to see that we can come from the main aim, come to the general objectives, and finally to the specific objectives where we can see something happen. It's something that can be measured, and it's something that is realistic, and it's something that we can experience, and it's something that we can do. So when does this change begin? It must begin by thinking now. And when you think now, you must think strategically. And when you think, you must be able to plan realistically. Because you can't just plan things that cannot be workable. Then you have to think of a way of implementing it. If it is important to implement something now, like we've said, start thinking. You've already engaged your thoughts in it. So if it is applicable, implement where necessary. Then sometimes there's need to ask for advice where necessary. For example, thinking doesn't need me asking somebody else whether should I start thinking about it now. No. But at times there's some decisions that need input from other people. And that's why it is important also to involve other people if need be. Then in the process of that, you can get prepared for achieving something. You don't just think, plan, implement, and ask and involve others if you're not prepared to achieve something. It will not always be successful, but sometimes the process of making mistakes helps you to move from one level to another. It's sometimes good to learn by the mistakes, because if we never try something, we may never learn. Always try to measure your progress. So you have to begin now, but you have to plan realistically. You have to implement. You have to ask for advice where necessary. You have to involve others, and you have to be prepared to achieve something and measure that progress, and the cycle again begins, because you need again to start thinking, what next? As you have seen, thinking is an inside thing. It starts from inside. But that doesn't mean that the things outside won't affect the way you think. So change starts from inside and it comes out. But at the same time, the outside affects the thinking inside. So sometimes it may be from top down, and at times it may be from bottom up. What do I mean by this? You may see something that needs to be done and then think about it. Alternatively, you may think about something that needs to be done and you go and do it. You may wonder, why do we have to change, and why do we have to go through all these processes? Is it really important? Yes, it is necessary. It is necessary because it will move us from one level to another, and that is, we will be able to develop. And it will be able also to give us a responsibility, either for ourselves or the things that we have. It also helps us to be more effective in the things we do. And it also helps us to be able to sustain the development or to sustain any change, particularly the good changes that we've made, and many other things. In general, we are aiming at meeting the needs of the individual. Finally, how do we change? If we look at these following points, we may see a bit of similarities to where we began, and that's why change is a cycle. Everything is like a cycle. It's just in and out and going round and round in trying to keep the person at a level where they're functional, where they can develop, where they can keep on improving themselves. So, how do we start? We have to start by creating a specific framework. Just like a house has a foundation, so whatever we want to do, whatever changes we want to see happen, we must have a specific framework, and this framework must be within a set time limit. Otherwise, it may take a long time for us to be able to see any changes or to accomplish any goals. And that's why it is important, when we set these frameworks and set them within a specific time limit, we can be able to accomplish goals. And these goals, sometimes they are not workable when we work as an individual. So we may need to involve other people. We may need to ask their advice, or we may need just to be able to contribute to what they are doing and them contributing to what we are doing. It is also very important that we record progress. Otherwise, sometimes we may not know whether we've moved from one level to another. So keeping record will also help us to be able to know where we still need to improve, or what else needs to be done, or what next step we need to follow. And until next time, from me it's goodbye, and start thinking. Start creating a specific framework. Start meeting those needs. Goodbye.